Phone etiquette. When it comes to the phone etiquette, the purpose is internally is to increase the interpersonal relationship. As for externally, it is to enhance your personal public relations and to enhance the company's image. Say there's a phone coming in from the customer. You answer the phone. Then you speak out your name and the company name. At this point in time, the customers have not seen your face but only listened to your voice. That's why your voice is very important. When the telephone rings, let it ring for 3 times before you answer the phone call. Then clearly state your company name and your own name. In addition, always have a notepad and a pen with you in order to note down the comments or what to do requested by the customers. As a receptionist, your posture needs to be graceful. I also have a mirror with me on the desk. Do you know what the purpose is? Why do I have a mirror with me? It is not for you to do the makeup. Instead, it is a constant reminder to wear a smile on your face. Telephone etiquette is important. The customer cannot see your face but can only listen to your voice. Your voice needs to be pleasant and joyful. That's why you always need to remind yourself to wear a smile and make sure that the tone is pleasant. That's very important when it comes to the telephone etiquette. When you hand off the phone, you need to be gentle. On the reception desk, make sure that it's tidy and neat. These are the photos that I wanted to share with you. They were taken in the 60s and 70s. Back then, the 5-star international hotel, Hilton, came to Taiwan. In that era, the telephone system looked like this. There were sessions. We also had meters. We use this way to provide service to customers. When the phone rang, we need to connect the phone call using the rotary dial. Back then, we had generated a lot of incomes by connecting international phone calls. That's why it was called the hotline, because when the phone called, we connect the phone, and once the phone is finished, we disconnect it, and the red light flashes. As for nowadays, we use this kind of digital switching board. On the phone, you have the screen showing the phone number or the customer's name or even the external telephone number. This is very different from how it was in the 70s. With the old system, we needed to be more sensitive compared to nowadays. When you use the digital one, with the old style, you need to pay attention and focus on the listening skill. We had a lot of stories in the old times. For example, the guest wanted to commit suicide in the guest room. When we listen to the phone call, we need to spot any emotions or abnormalities. And you need to call back again and to provide assistance or even to report it to the authority. You need to be trained to be sensitive. But nowadays, with the new digital system, of course, you are still sensitive, but the way it is operated make it difficult for us to pay attention to any abnormality because of the time differences. That's why in many tourism businesses, there is no operating department. Of course, there's someone answering the phone call, but this function has been transferred to the reservation department or the receptionist. They do not have the operation department. Back then, we had over 10 people working in the operation, answering the phone calls. In the past, we generated a lot of revenue, but nowadays, the customers have the free access to the service, such as the line account. They don't rely on the operators. That's why the function of operators started to disappear and have been transferred to the receptionist. When it comes to the phone etiquette, I want to touch on this from several perspectives. Once you take up the phone, it seems simple, but actually it is a very professional job. The moment when you answer the phone, or the moment you call out the phone, or leave a message for other people, or even making a phone call, these are all the important aspects and scenarios. Let's start with answering a phone call. We are using the switching system on the table. On the table, there shouldn't be anything else other than, for example, a glass of water, notepapers, and pencils. And to make sure the table is clean. When you answer the phone call, when the phone rings, you shouldn't wait for too long. We let it ring for 3 times, so you count 1, 2, 3, and then answer the phone call. At this moment, you need to state the company name. For example, hello, this is Tempus Hotel Taichung, or hello, this is Providence University. You need to clearly state the company name. Why? Because in that case, the customers can know whether they make the call correctly or by mistake. And after you state the company name, you need to say your name. For example, Tempus Hotel Taichung. My name is Rachel. I'm very happy to provide service here. At this point in time, the customer can know that they are provided service by Rachel. And after that, we started to provide service and help the customers, for example, to transfer the phone call, etc. A gentle reminder, when people call to make an inquiry, there are a few key points, such as the 5 W's and 1 H. For example, who, when, what content, and whether we need to return the phone call. These are the key points for you. And at the end of the phone call, basically we will say, thank you for calling, goodbye. And we need to wait until the other end hand off the phone before we hand off our phone. And that's the end of the phone call. But if other people call us by mistake, that's okay. We should never tell them off. When we are to make a phone call, there are a few tips. Firstly, we never make a phone call before 8 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the evening. Why? Because it's too late. We don't want to disturb other people. If you make a phone call by mistake, you need to show apologies. And when you make a phone call, you need to introduce yourself. For example, hi, my name is Rachel. I would like to speak to such and such person. Is he available? So you need to introduce yourself first, or where you are calling from, so that the other person can know who you are and then take the message for us. And one important thing, we need to be clear and polite during the phone call. If the person you are looking for is not available, we can ask the person to take a message for us and also repeat our telephone number and show gratitude before hanging off the phone. And the other person can know that we are hanging off and we can hand off the phone. Next, answering calls for others. When the person you're looking for is not available, sometimes you ask other people to take a message for you. Say, for example, if we are taking message for other people, we need to know the caller's name, position, and asking whether they want us to take a message for the person, we need to repeat the content and then pass on the message for them as soon as possible. But if the person they're looking for is not available, we need to apologize and say that the person he's looking for should be calling back. But if someone is calling to make a complaint, we need to take the message as soon as possible and as detailed as possible. And if the person is looking for someone but that person is not available, we need to tell the caller that the person is on the phone call and will call back as soon as possible. Most importantly, we shouldn't let the caller waiting for the person to call back for a long time. During the process, you'll notice that because you cannot see each other, the intonation and tone are very important. Even with the restriction, the person needs to know that we are very sincere when it comes to the services. Phone etiquette. First of all, everyone has a mobile phone. What matters is the occasion you are using the phone. For example, in the occasion when you should turn the phone off, such as the meetings, petrol station, or public occasions, you have to switch the phone off. When you call, do not talk too loudly to avoid disclosing the confidential information or disturb others. Mobile phones are paid phones after all, so you have to be short and sweet to save the cost. And furthermore, try to contact other people with the landlines unless necessary, then you can use the mobile phone. What's important about telephone etiquette is that we need to know that telephone represents the company image. You never have a second chance. That means the moment when you answer the phone call, other people are already thinking what kind of company you are from. And then because people cannot see your facial expression, so customers use their intonation and tone to interact with you. So when you make phone calls or are on the phone, you need to pay attention to your intonation and tone because they represent your facial expression. These are the 8 tips for answering phone call. First, you need to be swift and precise when you answer the phone. Second, after you answer the call, you need to sound pleasant, joyful, and clear. And you need to sit correctly and upright. And you need to note things down clearly and understand the purpose of the phone call. And you need to pay attention to the etiquette when you answer the phone, hand off the phone. And when it comes to the mobile phone etiquette, use polite statement. For example, hello, thank you, please wait, I'm very sorry. Sorry for keeping you waiting. I know it. Yes, sir, and I'm really sorry. And this is the reference table. We need to be polite. The statement needs to be sincere. You need to say out loud from the bottom of your heart. Now, I'm going to provide additional information by playing a video clip about phone etiquette.
The need for phone etiquette. First impressions. It takes less than 3 seconds to make your first impression. Are you making a good one with how you answer the phone? In the next few minutes, we're going to share some ways to transform your caller experience and deliver the best possible first impression. Transforming your caller's experience. Answer promptly before the 3rd ring. When your phone rings, someone has made the effort to reach out to your company. Answer the call promptly with an attitude that shows you care that they called. Your attitude will be reflected in the tone of voice you use. Before picking up the receiver, discontinue any other conversations or activity that could be heard by the calling party. Callers are put off by hearing the tail end of your conversation or loud noises as you pick up the phone. The ringing phone is a sign that you're about to interact with a potential client. Use a succinct greeting. Make sure your caller knows the company they've reached and your name. And remember, if you make a good impression now, you'll have time to tell them all the other things you offer later. Don't try to cram them all into the first greeting. If the caller accidentally reached you instead of someone else at your company, be courteous and helpful. Sometimes they've been transferred all over the company with a simple question. If possible, attempt to find out where they should call or to whom they need to speak. They will greatly appreciate it. If you can solve their issue or answer their question, even if it's not your normal job, you've just won a customer for life. Learning to listen. It starts with listening. Listening carefully promotes outstanding customer service, so seek to understand. Allow the caller to finish his or her sentences and don't interrupt. Show concern for their question or problem. Don't be defensive. Rather, say things like, "I understand," or "I'm sorry to hear that." Once you feel you do understand, reflect the key points back to the caller and ask additional questions if you need clarification. Repeat critical information so you both will be clear. Placing callers on hold. Ask the caller's permission to place them on hold. Many times we've all been told to hold with no thought as to the reason for our call. Make sure it's okay to place the caller on hold. They may just want to call back later. Be aware of what they hear while they're waiting on hold. This is an important area that a lot of companies overlook. Continue the connection with your caller by providing a custom on-hold message during their wait time. Does the music and messaging they hear draw them into your company? Is the volume too loud or too soft? Are the messages relevant to your callers? On-hold messages can be a terrific way of continuing the conversation with your caller, even if you can't be on the phone. Transferring callers. When transferring a call, be sure to explain to the caller that you're doing so and where you are transferring them. Take the time to do an assisted transfer and pass along as much information as possible to the next person. It's very frustrating to have to repeat your request each time you're transferred. Your caller will be much relieved to find out they don't have to repeat their information or request each time they're transferred to someone new. Managing multiple lines. Don't forget who was first. If you're on the line when a second call comes in and you need to answer it, ask the first caller to hold, answer the second call, and ask if they'll be able to hold while you complete the call ahead of them. Wait for their response. They may want to be transferred to someone, and you can do that quickly without making them wait. Ideally, you'll have a system in place where you won't need to interrupt the first call to answer the second call yourself. This could be another staff member or an automated attendant. But no matter what, remember that you are already conducting business with the first caller. Don't make them feel second-rate. Be ready to take notes. Always keep a pen and paper near your phone so you can easily take notes if need be. Handling difficult callers. At some point, many of us will be faced with handling an angry or upset caller. What an opportunity to turn this into a positive experience for them. Use the caller's name and give them your name. There are ways to say things that will escalate the caller's anger, and there are ways to answer them to show that you understand their frustration. Here are a few examples. Never say, "I don't know," "That's not my job," "That's not in the contract," or "You're wrong." Instead, say, "That's a good question. Let me find out for you." "I'm not sure. Let me find someone who knows. Let me check into how we can help you with that." Or, "Here is what I understand." When customers feel understood, they generally will calm down, especially if you stay calm. Try to remain polite and diplomatic, and always show willingness to resolve the problem or conflict. Try to think like the caller, and remember, their problem is important. Screening calls. We sometimes joke about screening calls, but there are certainly times when it's appropriate. If you're responsible for answering calls for someone else, consider these points. Ask the caller, "May I tell him or her who is calling?" If appropriate, ask what the call is in regard to. Ask the caller to hold, then connect to the called party. If the called party is available to take the call, pick the caller back up and let them know you'll be transferring them to the called party. If the party is unavailable, ask the caller if they would like to be transferred to voicemail or if you may take a message by hand. Don't assume they want voicemail. Always ask first. Your interactions with callers are incredibly important. It's their only vision of your company, and how you handle their call and their request will either make it a great experience for them or may turn them to your competition. Whether answering the phone or making phone calls, being proper and polite will send a professional message and make a great first impression. You'll also find that others treat you with more respect and are willing to go out of their way to assist you if you use proper etiquette. We hope these points you've reviewed have been helpful in presenting a positive image over the phone. If you'd like to know more about in-person caller experience training, click on the form below or call ProSound at 877-677-6768.
And when it comes to the etiquette at workplace, one important thing is your body language, your hand gesture, because that would change and influence other people's impression of you. You need to be proactive. The hand gesture need to be elegant and graceful. Be proactive and patient and show enthusiasm. Wear a smile. Pay attention to your demeanor and use polite language and avoid using mobile phone as chatting. At workplace, you should have the heartfelt attitude and language and the right behavior. The essence of services means that you combine the tangible hardware and intangible culture. When we serve, we need to combine tangible and intangible services to have comprehensive customer services. The principle of service means that every employee is an owner. When a guest comes to our workplace, whether you are a manager or a staff member, you need to remember that you are the owner of this place. You need to have proactive attitude. Every customer is an individual that is different. We need to respect their uniqueness. Before the guest requests something, we need to think before then. When the customers request a service, we do not reject them easily. We need to care about our customer. Treat every customer as our friend or family. That means we demonstrate the service principle nowadays. First, the customer is the first, followed by the employees, and then supported by the company boss or supervisor. Just like the nature of the service, the word service, S refers to smile, E refers to excellence in everything you do. R, reaching out to every customer with hospitality. V, viewing every customer as special. I, inviting your customer to return and come back again. C, creating a warm atmosphere. And lastly, E, eye contact that shows that we care when we provide services. Because I can reveal how you are, whether you are a friendly and kind person. So service is the attitude and concept. Without care, customer won't be satisfied. How to have satisfactory services? This is not just the task of a general manager or supervisors. We need to be customer oriented, have everyone participating in every detail of the process, show our care, thoughtfulness, professionalism, and responsibility. Be customer oriented, have empathy. This is not the responsibility of the receptionist only, but also those working in the front line and the second line. In other words, show our enthusiasm, thoughtfulness, speed, and professionalism. Solve customers' problems as possible as we can. Consistent service. This is the most difficult part. Every department and unit need to be connected, providing seamless services, heartfelt service that touch customers' heart so that they feel touched. How do we provide the respectful services? We need to be polite, have heartfelt service so that customers feel that we are very sweet and kind and friendly. The responsibility of service is that we need to solve customers' problem. When we encounter problems, we do not escape from the problems. Instead, we escalate the issue to the supervisors. Customers can feel that they are respected. There are 10 tips. We need to smile, greet, say hello, make compliments, show enthusiasm, be thoughtful, be patient, be speedy, be responsible, and professional. What's the appropriate and thoughtful way to respond to guests? The body language accounts for 55% of the etiquette. There are 5 phrases to represent: heartfelt greeting, sincere introduction, professional explanation, skillful question raising, and ending with bidding farewell to customers. What's heartfelt greeting? We need to have the smile and eye contact, which means you look at the guests and wear a smile, call the customer's name. That's so-called heartfelt greeting. Next, sincere introduction means you introduce yourself to customers, having dynamic interaction with customers so that they feel welcome in the strange environment. As for professional explanation, this is to let customers to trust us fully and to have professional explanation. Sincere introduction, introducing yourself, interaction with customers, and skillful question asking, which means you observe questions and to respond to their needs immediately. Customer can feel the 200% services from our end. So that's the skillful question raising. As for ending with a bidding farewell, we need to thank customers visiting and wish him a good journey. And we need to have a last statement, sending them goodbye to provide heartfelt services. So these are the 5 key ways to provide service and ending with the services. Without the right attitude, customer would be dissatisfied and stressed. The reason why customer has the expectation gap is that when guests come to our hotel, they hold expectation. As long as how they feel is less than their expectation, they will not be satisfied. If how they feel is as per their expectation, they barely accept that. If what they feel is greater than their expectation, customer would be very satisfied and happy. So we hope that we can provide the wow effect to customers. What important is the key, the so-called the moment of truth, abbreviated to TMOT. At every point in time when you reach out to the customer, we need to make sure that we respond to them appropriately and are ready. Without good service, customers will share the unhappy experience to 8 to 12 people. Good service is wise, they will share it to 3 to 4 people. A negative impression needs to be recovered by 12 positive impressions. The effort of creating a new customer is that 6 times that of maintaining an old customer. So we should never offend our customers. To respond to customer well, we need to bear in mind our personal emotion. Without handling the personal emotion well, when things go wrong, there would be adverse consequences. Any customer coming to our hotel, actually, they bring with emotions. That's why we need to provide service to our customer with the best attitude. In this industry, a lot of times staff work at the grassroots level. You pay a lot of effort and attention, but we need to be pragmatic and agile. In the workplace, we need to bring the happiness to the customers. supervisors and colleagues. And then you can be called the A+ talents. We need to provide the good reception etiquette. A lot of times you need to remind yourself, understand the role you are playing at the workplace. You need to be professional and you need to be ready. Most importantly, you need to repeat telling yourself that you are the spokesperson and the brand of the company, and we need to show empathy to our customers. Then the customer will feel the same and then increase their loyalty to our company. That's the end of the session today. Thank you very much.